Hello, and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy Podcast. My name is Jed. How are you going? So, we have been, welcome to our new chatters. We have been exploring the belief that everything is relative to personal perspective. There is no truth really. If it feels true or it seems true to you, then that's your truth. And that's as true as anything else. Why is that? Because everything is fundamentally relative to personal perspectives, personal opinions, personal beliefs. Which means also, let me just fix something on here. Which means also that there's no need for philosophy. There's no need to develop understanding. There's no need to learn how to think. There's no need to learn the discipline of how to think and explore ideas. There's no need to learn how to explore ideas with human beings. There's no need to figure out how human beings learn truth and struggle with that learning because of their old beliefs that try to fight back. There's no need to figure out how to address our false beliefs that cause our problems, because those beliefs are true. There's no need to learn or improve or grow, because whatever you happen to believe, then that's just as true as anything else. So there's no need to learn the skill that solves problems and allows us to perfect an excellence, because I'm doing good, thank you for asking. Because everything is relative to personal beliefs. So we talked about how this idea is a very common one of our age. We hear it a lot. Hey, isn't everyone entitled to their own opinion? Don't do anything to address groups based on belief, like the capitalist Epstein class, or the religions that exist, or the conservatives and right-wingers are all bound by belief. Don't do anything about them, because everybody's entitled to their opinions, and their opinions, if they believe they're an expert, then they are an expert. So it's a very common belief in our age that functions in all of the ways that we have been realizing. Now, what we came to realize is, in exploring this particular belief, we came to learn how belief is functioning, how belief functions. So those are the two things we're after. How does belief function, and how does understanding function? We have Miss Aaliyah in the dialogue that we're reading, trying to understand what understanding is. She wants to participate in understanding. How do we read without interpretation? How do we engage in critical thinking? How do we learn to understand for ourselves? How do we read things that have influenced us, like, for instance, the Christian Bible? Believers don't even know what they believe, and they don't even know if they believe, because they don't understand. They just have belief. And what it turns out they're believing is interpretations of interpretations, as belief functions via projecting things that are not there, things you expect, things you believe are real in the world, and blocking you from seeing what is there. So adding what isn't there, leaving out what is, that's interpretation. And it takes a skill. It takes you actually finding the book, opening it up, and reading what's there, and practicing that to understand for yourself. So it turns out that believers are interpreters. They are born into a tradition. If you're born Muslim, you get a lot of Muslim beliefs. If you're born Christian, you get a lot of Christian beliefs. If you're born in a MAGA household, you get a bunch of racist Nazi beliefs from the MAGA people, etc., etc. Depending on where you were born, the time period, the house, the culture, the religion, you get a bunch of beliefs. And for a lot of people, their job is to try and save those beliefs by making a story that meshes those beliefs of their culture with the personal ones they learned from their childhood. So no two beliefs are the same. We tell a story to save belief. And those beliefs we are trying to save are interpretations of people. So, as an example, as an exercise, we are looking at understanding the Bible. And we realize that it's not one singular work of understanding. It's a bunch of different human beings who are all fighting for their own personal beliefs and interpretation. And people don't even realize that. They take the interpretation from their pastor, their minister, their parents, their rabbi, their imam, their bishop, their pope. So it's interpretations of interpretations of interpretations. That's how belief functions. And we're learning what's involved in the opposite of belief, understanding. We also learned last time that belief functions through debate. You come into a dialogue with somebody and you already think you know the answers because those are the beliefs you carry in, and your way of relating, your way of living with another human being, expending your life energy, engaging with another living soul, is to use interpretation to sabotage reason and evidence in order to defend the belief that you think your life's purpose is to defend. That's debate, keeping you more entrenched in your beliefs and ignorance and preventing you from learning. We've been discovering that the functioning of understanding is dialectic, where you don't come in with a belief, you come in with a curiosity about an idea. And there is a structure that we can learn, a skill of asking questions, and the other person answers, and you get agreement on each point, and you follow reason and evidence step by step to conclusions. And those conclusions are true conclusions that are universal, so both people can agree. So that brings the both people into a unity through mutual understanding that anybody who wants to play can participate in. Whereas belief always ends in winners and losers. One person wins at the expense of another person losing. And because reason and evidence and truth is of no relevance to belief, various abusive techniques are used. Fighting, insults, lying, goalposting, changing the evidence if the evidence proves your beliefs are wrong. Don't change your beliefs. That would be good and learning. Instead, change the evidence. So that's how belief functions. So what we've come to discover is the nature of all human problems from reading this book and reflecting, learning to read in a new kind of way without interpretations. We can practice critical thinking and come to the conclusion that all human problems are caused fundamentally by beliefs. Beliefs. Beliefs that we are carrying, that we are savagely loyal to. And human problems are solved through understanding. That same skill of understanding can be used to not only solve problems, but understand something higher, reach an excellence. For example, we are using understanding to master this text, understand this text, and use it to benefit. We also are learning that understanding can awaken higher aspects of our intelligence. While beliefs are based on images, shapes, and colors of the physical world, understanding itself derives from universal principles, forces that have an existence outside of time and space. How can we realize that? Well, because we've never physically seen the building blocks or Lego pieces of understanding. Whole and part, same, different, justice, beauty. We've never seen them walking down the street in the physical world. We've only ever inferred them with our mind as adjectives. A beautiful puppy, a beautiful painting, a beautiful streamer.
That one's perfect and exactly the case.
Thank you. And because they are universal, these ideas, these building blocks of thought are universal, we call them aspects of being. And what's fascinating is when we use this understanding or critical thinking that we've been learning, called the dialectic, to explore these ideas themselves, it prepares our minds to directly experience mind itself. That experience of mind knowing mind beyond the physical world is the penultimate enlightenment experience, described as the brilliant light of being. And what Elia in the book has been learning is, hey, people of all periods of history, in all cultures, have had this same experience. And what she's been encouraged to do is read about them and compare and contrast. How do these different cultures, how do the Buddhists explain it? How do the Tibetan philosophers explain it? How do the Greek philosophers explain it? How does Jesus make sense of his, or how do the people who are watching Jesus have his light experience? How do they explain it? And why do they use the images of Moses and Elijah to describe what they are witnessing when Jesus is having his mind experience? Is this mind experience what Jesus might be calling the kingdom of heaven? Is that why he was talking about using understanding of analogies or parables to develop what is required to have that experience ourselves? So, understanding also allows us to understand and directly experience. There's our reason and evidence, the greatest experience, and the source of reason. So what we use in critical thinking, understanding, reason and evidence, as we explore causes and principles, come together to something which is reason itself, the highest experience itself, the causes and principles of reality itself, mind. That's philosophy. In the book, Joseph defines philosophy as that. Learning to think, to purify our problems, and have that experience. Now he says that's not the last step. That's the penultimate or second last stage of enlightenment. The dialectic can then be used to ask questions even about that, to go on to its cause, its principle, the source of even that experience, the source of reasoning itself, the logos. That's the movement from mind to the self. So there we have a map of our purpose, of intellectual development, of learning, of spiritual development, as well as an understanding of what causes all human problems. That which opposes that learning and development. What is the name for that functioning that opposes, that cognitive function, that use of mind that opposes what brings us to mind and self? Belief. What are the words that we are using to describe that peak experience? Well, the three primary ones. We've been talking about whole, part, same, and different. These are things that come together in a oneness. We've been talking about things like beauty and excellence and justice. These are things that you could put under the category, or basketball players under the captain, goodness. We talk about it as reality itself, the truth. So, oneness, goodness, and truth are words. So notice, they are the highest usage, the highest words that we have. We have to use the highest words that we have access to describe the highest experience. which is why the dialectic is necessary, or understanding is needed to go beyond experience, because you can't imagine an experience higher than the greatest experience, but you can understand something beyond it. Therefore, as we read in the text, Joseph saying, you will only reach your ultimate goal, the goal of all living beings, to know the self. Hey, you're a self. All the things that you do to make that don't you do them because you think that they will improve yourself? Remove your sadness that your self experiences? Allow you to function in a higher degree of yourself? What is the self? Isn't that the most fundamental question? Is anything meaningful if it doesn't ultimately help you to know the self? So we can ask the question, what's the cause of the oneness? What's the cause of the goodness? What's the cause of the truth? Giving rise to one good and true. The one self, the good self, and the true self. So isn't that neat? So we've understood the nature of all human problems, the nature of our excellence, the single way of understanding spirituality. We don't have to divide it into different belief groups. You're a Buddhist, you hate the Tibetans, and you hate the Taoists, and you hate the Confucianists, and you hate the Muslims, and you hate the Jews, and you hate the Protestants, and you hate the etc., the Anglicans. Why not? So that's division. So belief leads to not oneness, but division, conflict. You need to understand how to fly a plane well. You need to understand how to fix an engine to fix an engine well. You need to understand medicine to perform surgery well. But any old believer can use their beliefs to destroy a plane, crash a plane, destroy an engine, kill someone on the operating table. So belief can only function to cause harm. So while understanding leads us to oneness, unity, universal principles for everyone, unifying our soul, unifying our mind, unifying humanity, harmony, it also leads to our goodness. That's one of the words that we used. Whereas belief, harm. So the opposite of oneness, division. The opposite of goodness, harm. And the opposite of truth, false. Beliefs are, in principle, false. That might feel weird because our culture tells us that everything is relative to belief. That's why we're reading this book. There is no truth, it's all just opinions. So opinions can't be false. If you believe it's true, then it is true. To you. It's your truth, says Oprah. It's my truth. But actually, it turns out, beliefs are in principle divisive and the cause of conflict, the cause of harm, and false. In principle. Now, what we're also learning is just as there are two aspects to the meaning of life for all living beings, all intelligent beings, including all human beings, to surface our own individual beliefs and remove them through critical thinking, through the dialectic. The name for that is philosophical midwifery, giving birth to the false beliefs we carry that cause our problems. And the second aspect is to use that freedom from beliefs to go on to perfect and master understanding, reach oneness, goodness, and truth, mind itself, balloons, and then go through that peak experience to know the self. So to purify what's false and perfect what's true, to remove beliefs and perfect understanding. While there are two aspects to the meaning of life, what we're also learning from the text is there are two aspects to the human process of going through that. because everything that we just said seems to be true, seems to follow reason and evidence, seems to be rational, verifiable, uses the basic axioms or principles of reason itself, and is verifiable. As we are learning, we can read the text ourselves and verify, oh, everyone writing in the Bible has their own level of problems and beliefs and their own level of understanding. Everyone is in some sort of development along a continuum from loyalty to beliefs to freedom and love of understanding. We can also verify with evidence that these peak experiences are possible universally. You don't have to be a Buddhist or a Taoist or a whatever-ist. It's just if you have intelligence. It's just using your intelligence to look at intelligence. And then to use your understanding to go beyond intelligence to see what's seeing the self. Therefore, no gatekeeping. You don't have to kill a religious group. You don't have to enslave a class group, the working class or the slave class. You don't have to subscribe for monthly payments with Spotify. You don't have to buy a franchise from a franchisee who owns McDonald's. Anyone who has the capacity for self-reflection, ousia, and language, logos, can use the skill or learn the skill that uses rational self-reflection. That's the dialectic. That's our highest functioning and purpose for humanity. Anyone can use that to verify in their own direct experience or evidence these things that we are saying. So, all of the standards of truth shows what we're saying to be true. But here's the thing. Who's listening? So what? So we know the truth of the human condition, the truth of all human problems, and what's required to solve problems and reach our excellence. Individually, in our relationships, in our loving relationships, and as a species. So what? So there's a second aspect to the condition, the human condition. It's truth and humanness. What we're learning is part of the art of the dialectic of being a Homo sapien. What's the name of that? Philosapien? Oh, there's a name for people who love intelligence. Homo sapien means man the thinker. Sapiosexual? I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, to enter the human race, to love logos, to love understanding, philodianoia, love of logos, or love of understanding, philodianoia, isn't just a matter of hearing the truth. We learn that the human condition is from belief to truth, meaning there are stages of reaction, negative human reaction to truth. If we say the truth, a believer will reinterpret, because remember, belief functions through interpretation, so they'll leave out the important things, the meaningful things of what we're saying that are true, and they'll add their own way of thinking from their own problematic beliefs, causing them to react negatively to understanding, fight against understanding, fight against their own benefit, fight against their own goodness, fight against what they want themselves. So the nature of the human condition in its sickness is a stupid, savage, often vicious, primitive, caveman-like, zombie-like NPC, because you're in a script, like loyalty to that which fights against your own interests. For example, the religious officials steal all the money from the people. The MAGA take all the funding away from healthcare and childcare. The capitalists take all the wealth away from everyone else. All of these belief-based groups makes everyone's life worse, but you will find some people will fight to the death to defend MAGA, to defend religion, to defend the billionaire Epstein class. The bootlickers. That's the problem. We have beliefs that we don't even know that we have, that we are fiercely loyal to. And so we have been learning why. If belief is the cause of all of our suffering, why do people love it so much? Why do people fear saying that beliefs are bad? Some beliefs are good, people will say, because it's all relative. Why? Why save the bad? Some poison is good, some cancer is good. Why? Why are you so precious about cancer and poison? We're all entitled to our poison. We're all entitled to cancer. Don't you take cancer away from me. I will kill you. Oh, with your medicine. That's a stupid thing to say. But why do we say it? Because of the learning we've gone through in our culture. It's not a matter of just learning the truth. We have to understand the beliefs that have influenced us for us to remove them. Otherwise, you are still influenced by them, you're just ignoring them. It's not enough to say, I'm not a Christian, or I believe in understanding. It will still affect you unless you've gone through that process of understanding it. You can't ignore your cancer away. You can't positive think the poison out of your body. You have to use understanding. That's why it's the ethical and moral imperative of all human beings. You will be affected negatively within yourself. You will be in conflict and sadness yourself. You will be in conflict with others. And of course, our species will be in conflict unless we go through this process of learning to understand and learning to address the beliefs that fight against understanding. Address them with understanding. So that involves understanding what's the appeal. If beliefs are so fucking terrible, why do we love beliefs so much? Now, that's what we've been learning from the conversation as well. Harry, representing a believer, has given us some clues on how to answer that question. He says, you know what it does? It gives you a feeling of group connectedness. I'm a Nazi with these Nazis. I'm a Christian with these Christians. I'm a Mormon with my magic underpants with these other soaking Mormons.
Gooners.
The Mormons do the soaking and they're gooners.
Debate weirdo.
Gooner.
Gooner. It also allows you to immediately know who's for you and who's against you. Hey, everyone wearing the red hat, they're on my team MAGA. Everyone protesting injustice, they're the bad people. Harry also says, so that's what he said belief gives you. But there's more to it. As beliefs function through interpretation, as a believer tries to fight against understanding, fight against reason and evidence, we can see him, there is no good reason to fight against the dialectic. This is, in my own personal life, this has been the biggest puzzle that I've had. I have done everything in my life to participate in the dialectic. And it has blown my mind that not everyone is doing it. Good for me. I mean, in that I got more time with a dialectician because there weren't 8 billion people trying to knock down his door to get his attention. So there's no good reason to fight against understanding because it leads to our goodness, truth, and unity, oneness. So all of the things that a believer will use to sabotage the dialectic, sabotage the conversation, sabotage reason and evidence, won't be of reality. It will be a confession or a projection or a interpretation from the beliefs about what's good and real that he is carrying. That gives us the expression that we're all familiar with. Hey, for the right-wingers and the religious people and the capitalists, every accusation is a confession. When Elon Musk says, oh, the left are rigging the election, turned out Elon Musk was rigging the election. The left are doing fraud and waste, turns out the biggest frauds were the billionaires. When the Christians are saying, whoa, gay people are evil, turns out that they were gay themselves. When the conservatives are saying, whoa, the left want to take away your rights, turns out the conservatives were trying to take away people's rights. They project their own way of being. Because while you can understand belief, you can't believe understanding. They are hierarchically arranged. For example, a math teacher with understanding of math can understand both math and his student who is struggling. His student can't understand his teacher. This is the principle of scope. Higher up the hierarchy, the more scope you have. So, in order to make sense of understanders that they are trying to fight against in a debate, believers have to lie. The way they lie gives us the material to understand their problem. It also gives, if they are a good person, someone open and curious and wanting to solve problems, remove their own injustice and become better people, it will give them the evidence for their own self-reflection. In other words, Harry, if he was a good person, would be excited to ask Leah and Joseph, hey, when I was fighting against the dialectic, what were the arguments I made? What were the key words I used? What was the state of mind I was in? Because every one of those things are clues, like Sherlock Holmes gathering clues to solve the mystery. Clues to solve the mystery of what must I be carrying that I don't know I'm carrying, that's the cause of my problems and sickness. So, Harry doesn't seem to be someone open to learning. And he's told us why. He fears if it turns out that his beliefs are wrong, then he has to face the nothingness of his life and his position. His life has been based on lies. Not only that, his parents' lives have been based on lies, and his grandparents, and all of the people who lied to him growing up. Now, Joseph, the philosopher, came in and said, hang on a second, it's not nothingness. Sure, you have to look at the problems that you've had and a limited life because of those problems, but great. Think of anything that you do. If every time you've been eating ice cream, you've been dropping half of your ice cream, take a look and correct it. That means more ice cream for you. But believers are so afraid of being punished that they never want to admit that they're wrong, and they're afraid of losing their group that gives them that feeling of group loyalty and togetherness. And of course, they lack the courage to question their earliest teachers. So Harry has said this, I don't want to face the truth because I'll have to face the nothingness of my position in my life. But Joseph, the philosopher, said it's not nothingness. There is a better way, understanding. If you understand why you dropped half your ice cream every time, you can fix it so you stop dropping your ice cream and messing up the floor. And also you get to eat more ice cream. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win.
Win-win-win-win-win. He is not yet open to that. So we can learn about how beliefs function. And all of this is from the text. We're just summarizing and bringing into a unity what we've been reading, squeezing the understanding from the text. He said, you know what? You know what else? And this is the projection. So just as belief functions through interpretation or projection, so too believers function through interpretation and projection. So when Harry invented reasons to stop understanding, there's no good reasons. Hello, what attracted me to chat is a tag under the niche of psychology. Yes, so this is psychology. So we are understanding the root cause of all human problems, how to understand it, so we can solve all human problems. The problems that cause the conflict within our souls, the problems that cause the conflict within our relationships, within our everyday thoughts, our distractions, our dreams, our night dreams, our daydreams, and the cause of all human conflicts. That's what we're doing. Now we're about 20 episodes in, so you can go to the YouTube link below and you can read the text, or you can read along with us from the beginning. There's a PDF to the text below where you can read it yourself. But of course, what we've been doing here is learning how to read. We don't learn... Yeah, well, you can, of course you can. So we are learning how to read. So all of this is true psychology. Understanding the root cause of all human problems within the psyche. That's what psychology means, study of the psyche or the soul. This is true psychology. But of course, for it to be understood yourself, so you can use it, you have to learn how to read, which means you have to read what's there, not project. Now, Harry, because as we know, there is no good or true reason to stop the dialectic, to fight against reason and evidence. That's why believers have to make shit up. Projection, lie. What is one overlooked aspect of being famous that you would find unbearable if you were famous? What do you think psychology is? Can I ask why you asked that question? Like what's driving you? What's your idea? Like what are you wondering about that is behind your question? So as you answer my question, I'm going to keep summarizing, giving you time. Because my answer is psychological. No, but what are you interested in? What's the idea that you want to understand? Like what do you want to achieve? Like what motivates you? Like why do you care? Like why are you asking this question? It's not psychology unless I can connect it with yourself. It's just gossip. Psychology is understanding your psyche. Psychology is the study of what makes humans decision. No, psychology is the study of the soul. Understanding the nature of the psyche is why humans make decisions, basically. I mean, sure, yeah, in a sense. So what made you make this decision to ask a question? Like, what are you interested in? There are two things we face as human beings. Our excellence, like what do you hope to achieve? Do you want to understand the highest reach of your mind? Do you want to know the meaning of life? Do you want to know what happens when you die? Do you want to know what happened before you were born? Do you want to know what your mind is, the reach of your mind? What are you interested in getting with excellence? The second thing that we're interested in is, why do I have these problems? Why do I keep feeling sad or depressed or miserable or sabotaging myself? So the two basic questions we start from: where are you at in terms of achieving your goal, and where are you stuck? What have you come to understand about how you sabotage yourself or the problems that you are in? Because my answer to this question I wanted to share with you was psychological. Oh, so it wasn't a question. It was a setup to share your own thoughts. Okay, just share your own thoughts. Is it a insight or understanding about your goals, or is it about where you're stuck? Because those are the two things that we're interested in as human beings. I'm going to sneeze. Bless me. For me, the constant pressure to self-censor. I rarely be able to express my authentic thoughts, knowing that a single misstep, okay. But why are you thinking about this? You haven't yet told me why this means anything. Like, why should we care? Have you noticed that what you just described gets in the way of you being authentic? Like, I don't understand why you're talking about this. So fill me in on the backstory behind your question so I can make it relevant, make my answers relevant. So as you do that, we have Harry. Remember that principle? There's no good reason to sabotage the dialectic. I was just thinking about how no one talks about the con aspect of being famous. And when they cancel culture because technically just, all right, fine, that's great. So you're thinking about other people. No one else thinks about this. Good. My question to you is, who cares? Who cares what other people are doing? How does it affect you? Like, why is this occupying the time and psychic energy you have on this planet? Be real. Like, what are you interested in? What are you trying to achieve? Do you not feel to yourself, to a degree, you appeal to your audience? Filter yourself. No. Stop talking about other people. Talk about yourself. That's just gossip. Who gives a fuck what other people are doing? You. Why are you here? What are you trying to achieve? What questions do you have? Or what have you recognized about your problem? Anything else is just brain rot. Who cares? Yeah. Tom Cruise might have to say things to the camera on the red carpet. Yay. So what? How does that make your life better? That's not psychology, it's just gossip. It needs to be significant to you. Otherwise, it's just opinions and belief and projection. Or significant to the text we're reading. So a shared goal will be the text. Ever noticed how in debates, someone can just say, well, I disagree on that evidence. Then the whole conversation screeches to a halt. That's why you need to have the dream or the text or the evidence in front of you so you can both look at it. Everyone has to filter themselves in society. You're still not answering my question. Who gives a shit what other people do? You. What are you doing? Talk about yourself. What are the situations where you are filtering yourself? And what are you finding about this filtering that's limiting your ability to reach your goals? You either make it about you or you make it about the text we're reading. How is Harry filtering himself? How is Aaliyah filtering himself? How might Joseph be filtering himself? These are the characters in the text. You code switch a lot. All right. So listen to what I'm asking. What is the highest goal you are aiming for? That you are seeking to achieve with excellence? Describe where you are at. Second, this issue of code switching or filtering, how have you recognized that has been coming up to block your reaching of that goal? If you say that, then we can connect to you as a human being. Yeah, people put on masks. Yep, people wear masks. They wear masks. What we are discovering is we carry masks that we don't even know we carry, caused by our fundamental beliefs. So, as you work on those questions, Harry has to project reasons to silence the dialogue, which means they are confessions of his own beliefs. I won't sound delusional, but you said my highest goal, so my highest goal will be to be rich, and I'm not sure if code switching will help me become rich. Not meaningful enough. You gotta get rich? Alright, I don't know, set up a Ponzi scheme. Exploit the working class. Becoming rich isn't a meaningful goal. A meaningful goal has to be about yourself, and it has to be about something intelligible. Creating a world of wealth equality, that would be significant. That would require understanding. It would require addressing the false beliefs from the billionaires who try and fight back. Maybe it's because I have autism, but I don't really like working. No one likes working. Working is a code word for slavery. So make your goal meaningful. If your goal is, I want to kick enough puppies so I can be a billionaire. I want to join the Epstein class, become a billionaire and own all the resources. That's not a goal. That's a sickness. Yeah, of course no one likes working. Working means slavery to the Epstein class billionaires. Jobs aren't meaningful, otherwise the billionaires would have bought all the jobs. It's just a buzzword that the oppressive elite use to enslave us. My goal's an alternative to work from. Yeah, that's everyone's goal. But everyone's goal is to be able to live without slavery. Yes, that's why we are learning to understand what makes human beings loyal to systems of oppression and slavery. Conservatism, religion, capitalism, they're all belief-based systems that have to lie to justify oppression. We all want to be free. Free to do what? What we're doing here. Of course, everyone wants to. That's what it means to be human beings. We want freedom from our problems and to use that freedom to reach our excellence. So make it a personally meaningful goal. Like what are you trying to understand and master? Do you want to become a musician? Do you want to become a mathematician? Do you want to master the book we're reading? What is it that you want to understand? I want to be rich or famous isn't a meaningful goal. Have you met a person who generally enjoyed working? No, no one enjoys work, dude. We enjoy play. No one enjoys being told when you have to wake up, when you have to eat, when you can use the bathroom, what you have to do, and fear losing their ability to buy food or have a fucking house to live in. No one likes work. No one likes work. It's slavery, it's oppression, it's a sickness. We like having fun, we like seeking meaningful goals. I'm encouraging you to do that now. Talk about something meaningful. What do you hope to achieve? Let's say you were rich. Let's say you were famous. Let's say you were free from the oppression of capitalism, conservatism, and religion. Let's say you were free. What now? What are you interested in doing? You want to understand the meaning of life, yourself? I don't mean to say my goal was to be rich. I mean to say my goal is to find tons of work. Yeah, of course. Everyone wants that. Sure. Rich people don't do the labor. Of course, yes. Of course not. Capitalism is slavery, of course. Is your goal to bring down the systems of capitalism to create an equal world where we no longer have to sacrifice our life for survival? Is that your goal? So maybe this is worth talking about. To have a goal, you have to have... The goal has to be personally meaningful. You have to be able to define it. The goal. Once you've defined the goal, there has to be something rational or intelligible and you have to seek it with excellence. Once you have a goal that's about yourself, not about what other people are doing, yourself, you can have steps that you can outline to reach the goal. Those steps are rational. As you follow these steps, you will face blocks. Because as we're saying, the truth of our excellence isn't enough. We have to also address what is false. Our beliefs will cause blocks that block our steps to reaching our goal. Psychology or philosophy, what we're doing here, philodianoia, the love of understanding, or the dialectic, is what we use to address these blocks, to find the cause of those blocks, the false beliefs that we are carrying about ourselves, that we project onto reality, so we can remove our problems. But to do that, to surface these blocks, you need a personally meaningful goal that you are seeking with excellence, so that you can outline the steps, so you can recognize when you're hitting a block to those steps. That's why I'm starting with talk about you. Don't talk about me or other people, talk about you. What do you want to achieve? And you answered, so to your credit, to be rich, to be free, sure. Doing what though? Like, what do you want to master that you seek to make money from? Because to reach this goal, it has to be something that is intelligible. It has to be something that you can work to understand. I want to be a pilot. I need to understand how to fly a plane with excellence. I want to be the best pilot I can be. Then you can define steps. I have to join pilot school. I have to learn how to use the steering wheel thing. I don't know what it's called. Airplane steering wheel. Oh, when I had to go to sign up for my aviation school, I slept in. I sabotaged myself. If you notice that this sabotage or block to you following the steps to your goal is something that repeats, now you can start gathering the clues. Our job as human beings is to ultimately master the self, know the self. Because any answer you would have given to my goal, you do so because, wouldn't you agree, that it would make yourself happier? You'd be happier if you had money. Your goal is to find an alternative way to provide yourself other than exchanging labor. Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to exchange labor for money because you want to be a happier self. Do you truly believe that everyone who exchanged labor goes as a slave? It's not about what I believe, it's about what's true. Do billionaires who don't have to work for someone else do it? No. How many billionaires get a job? 0 billionaires. Why? Because we want freedom. We want to be free to pursue our meaningful goals. So ultimately, you start with the goal, I want to become a pilot. I'm still haven't heard what your thing you want to master is. Now you could say, I want to be a politician and put an end to wage slavery as well. So not just me is free if I happen to win the lottery and become rich, but all human beings no longer have to sacrifice their life for survival. That would be a goal. Still after a goal. But ultimately you can see, oh, I can be free if I have this goal. I no longer have to be a slave to some billionaire fuckhead who wants me to pee in a cup, pee in a bottle so they can make an extra $1 off my work. Ultimately, after you reach that goal, you set a higher goal and higher goal until it's about the self. All of these things are about how you can make yourself happier and more free. Which means as you go through these rational steps to reach the goal that you haven't told me about yet, you can learn, hang on a second, How is this like the ultimate goal, the dialectic? How is mastery of the self through the steps of the dialectic like mastery of the pilot, becoming a master pilot through the steps of aviation school? How did I have to remove the blocks of self-sabotage that prevented me from becoming a master pilot? And what does that say about not just my own personal beliefs, but all beliefs that block human beings? By the way, you might be struggling to find a personally meaningful goal other than, I don't want to be enslaved by fucking billionaires in capitalism. I want to have my own house and be able to afford food. Yeah, everyone does. The only reason why everyone doesn't have a house and have access to food for free is because of the fuckheads who we allow to rule politics, religion, and capitalism. The expertise that prevents doing this good thing, a house and food and clean water and air for everyone, has to be something they are carrying. Just as you had to carry something with you in your beliefs to sabotage your goal by putting this block in the way, so too these belief-based groups, for as long as we allow experts of politics, religion, and capitalism to have no understanding of what is good, what is real, what is true, what is unifying, the same way we demand understanding of that for a doctor, for a pilot, for a mechanic, for some stupid reason we allow these particular people to just say, well, I believe that the whites are the best, so vote MAGA. I believe that billionaires should kill people for fun and profit. Vote Elon Musk. Vote Jeff Bezos. Or you don't get to vote. AI surveillance for anyone who speaks up. It's the same issue. They never, ever, ever provide any rational reason why mass murder and enslavement for their personal fun and profits is good. They never, ever provide a reason. They only ever sabotage reason. They are belief-based groups that block our development to a goal of excellence within our species. Therefore, if your goal is to free people from slavery, as you're talking about, you want to be free from slavery, in becoming a politician, if that's your goal, the way of doing it, you'll have to learn how to understand what is good, what is true, and what is healthy or unifying for the human soul, and how to align that with the principles of physical reality to meet our universal human needs using universal principles for universal benefit. So that's a meaningful goal. As you seek the mastery of that, you can at the same time examine the steps to learning how to become an excellent politician through understanding. You can use that for your own soul. Oh, I have to learn what benefits souls in society. How can I use that to learn the dialectic, which is what benefits my own self? So, this principle of the blocks that get in the way of our own goodness, our own truth, our own oneness or unity, has to be something false, because why would only the false blocks the true, only the bad blocks the good, only the divisive blocks the unity? Therefore, it's not a real argument, it's an expression of our beliefs. That's why we look at our blocks analogically. When there's a voice in your head that says, I can't become a great politician, I'm a Dumbhead. The use of the word dumbhead is a metaphor. You are not literally a dumbhead. Dumbhead means something from your past that has played out through your past to your present. Will block your future. That's psychology. To be able to understand the language of our blocks that we carry with us in our beliefs through the language of analogy. What kinds of things are analogy? It's not literal. They are, is it on the board, the analogy ones? States of mind, similes. What does it feel like? When I say I can't become a master politician, it feels like I'm trapped under a waterfall. It feels like I'm locked in a basement. It feels like I'm really depressed. That's similes. It feels like something. Those are the clues for your states of mind. Pull them out, write them down. That's part of psychology. The words, the metaphors. You're not actually a dumbhead. Don't listen to it literally. Believers take their beliefs literally. That's the nature of belief. That's the nature of human problems. Jesus was literally a god, and he literally rose from the dead like a zombie. And of course, metaphor, simile, and allegory. Take a look at the drama you're in. The ups and downs you go through in reaching your goal, and see if every element of that has a higher meaning. That's psychology. That's finding the clues to unpack or surface the unsuspected false belief that's the cause of your blocks. Now, in the text, because of this principle, to block the dialectic can't be true or good or real, it has to be evidence of your problem. We can look at what Harry is saying to do that. Let's get rid of these dudes for a bit. As Harry is fighting back against the dialectic, and of course, if our chatter is still there, you could take the same thing for you. When I ask you to talk about your meaningful goals, was there anything that prevented you? Was there a state of mind that came up? Was there some words that came up? Were there some objects that came to mind? Was there a drama that you were fantasizing or imagining? Those are the clues. They're not real, you're projecting them. So, Harry, in this, because belief functions through interpretation, so too believers function through interpretation. That's why we were saying a moment ago, all accusations are a confession by the religious, the conservatives, or the capitalists. Turns out Elon Musk was doing the fraud. Turns out Donald Trump was taking away healthcare and starting wars, not the radical left. Turns out the religious authority figures are the ones abusing children and are closeted homosexuals. Heterophobic, fear of women, hatred of women that manifests in closeted homosexuality. The ones that are saying, oh, it's the non-Christians, it's the heathens that are all gay pedophiles. Which means everything that we do when we are exploring our ideas can be potential clues or insights to help us solve our problems individually and collectively. So if you are lucky enough to have somebody in your life, in a relationship that you have as a friend or in a relationship with, who has a good heart and good head, every waking, well, not just waking moment, every moment, even while dreaming, can be a possibility for awakening a source of insight either into where you're at and reaching your goal, or where you are stuck in your beliefs. So the three questions you can ask someone: where are you at, where are you stuck, and what are your dreams like? So, for us, we are not specifically seeking to help Harry. He doesn't seem open to it yet. Well, in terms of solving his personal blocks, but he is demonstrating how believers function through interpretation. So he's saying, hey, I need to sabotage what we're doing here. And you can't sabotage the Logos in a good way, because the Logos is goodness. You can't sabotage the Logos in a rational way, because the Logos is rationality itself. You can't sabotage the Logos in a real way, because the Logos is the underlying patterns and structure of reality. So it has to be bad, false, and divisive. Yeah. So, Harry tells us, he's already told us we get good feelings about being in a group, and you get group acceptance. Earlier he said, you get to know who's for you and who's against you. Why is it important to know who's for you and who's against you? Here is Harry telling us what is the positive that's offered to believers. Like people disciplining their dogs, punishing their dogs. Punishment. As we said, you need understanding to do what's good, but to fly a plane, but any old believer can crash a plane. You need understanding to help a human being, but any human being can murder. Any stupid, ignorant believer can hurt a human being, can torture a human being. So, in our society, we offer a way of inflicting violence, justified with the sick idea of punishment. Somehow, the stupidest, most fucked in the head idiots hurting another human being will somehow make them better. Beating a child for not getting the answer on the test right. Putting humans in cages for not being a good enough slave. Murdering people for speaking up against genocide. Sentencing people to eternal damnation in hell for not obeying the preacher. Punishment. So, it's good to know who's not on the team, because they can be the sacrificial lamb, the human sacrifice for you to play out violence. Why do believers seek inflicting violence? Sadism. So, while you need understanding to fly a plane, and belief can only crash the plane, you can take that feeling of killing everyone on the plane as what it means to be knowing, because look at me, I have the power to play my sickness out on others. I'm not the one being bullied, I'm bullying someone else. That feeling of finally I'm free of being the victim of those thoughts that we are supposed to be reflecting on in this map, the actual stages of human growth, human activity. I have a freedom from suffering from those blocks when I am doing it to someone else. That feeling of superiority and smugness that comes with being able to be able to recognize I have the power to hurt people. That's sadism. That's taken as a surrogate for helping people. That's why you see religious idiots on the street saying, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you're a heathen, and they feel so happy with themselves. They are doing bad things. You would never ever want to talk to that idiot. That's the essence, but that's our message. That's what we are here to learn about from the Epstein class. With all of their billions of dollars and completely no accountability, they do sadistic shit. So they can feel smug and superior by inflicting violence as the believer's mask of what it means to be knowing. That's the essence of belief. Harry is telling on himself. He's telling on belief itself by saying, that's what you are doing. and we're seeing this all the way through the text, believers have a difficulty relating to truth, to the dialectic, because they frame it within their worldview. The only time I ever talk to someone, says a capitalist, is to scam them for money. So here is a good person being friendly, he's trying to scam me for money. Often good people have a difficulty in small towns. If a good person is friendly and kind, and you're in a small town full of ignorant rednecks, talking to me, you are fucked in the head. You're trying to scam me. Because the only way I would talk to a stranger is if I was trying to abuse them. So you must be secretly trying to abuse me. This is the difficulty faced by philosophers. Because philosophers challenge not just your own personal beliefs, but all beliefs. If the nature of human problems is a loyalty to the sick beliefs we are carrying that cause our problems, then the most hated person in the world will be the best person in the world, the dialecticians. And this is the dynamics. We're learning the dynamics. We're learning what is appealing to a believer. Group identity. You get to abuse the woke if you're a MAGA. You get to abuse the Palestinians if you're a Jew. You get to abuse the Protestants if you're a Catholic or whatever the fuck. You get to abuse the women if you're a incel man. You get to abuse the immigrants if you're an ICE agent. Sadism. Violence under the name of punishment. To feel smug and superior. By the way, that's all right-wing comedy. Smug cruelty. That's it. I'm cruel and I'm smug about it. I'm going to go on Joe Rogan's podcast. So that's the appeal. And of course, we've seen that there are a couple of excuses to justify belief. That which opposes what is good, true, and unifying. That which pedestalizes or venerates sadism, violence, cruelty. Because some people are too stupid. They need it to meet an emotional need. Don't challenge religion or belief. This very disgusting thing that's the cause of all human disgusting savagery. Because some people need it. They can't have a meaningful life by actually doing good things. Bullshit. It doesn't meet an emotional need, it hurts people. And of course, Joseph said, hey, would you say that? That, oh, you know, some religious people need religion for meaning or meeting an emotional need. What about when they in turn become political and they insist their harmful false beliefs become the law of the land, as all fascists seek to do? Then would you speak up? What about when they become hostile to the non-Christians or the non-Jews or the non-Muslims or the non-MAGA or the non-billionaires? Then would you say that maybe beliefs are not good actually? Because here's the thing about beliefs. They're not fluffy clouds of nothingness. We think through our beliefs and we act through our beliefs. That's why beliefs are the root cause of all human problems. And there are no other animal species that are as cruel and sadistic to each other, themselves, and the planet we need to live on than human beings. So beliefs are the worst, most powerful force in the physical universe. That's the stakes. That's why it's difficult. That's why we're reading this book. To learn how to escape the worst of intelligent nature, belief, by understanding what it is, what its appeal is, how it functions through interpretation, and what it results in. How many countless millions and millions or billions of people have died in the name of capitalism, imperialism, religion, and right-wing fascist conservatism. And where will it lead? The destruction of our planet and the extinction of our species. So, When all else fails, there's hey, but so what did the believer do? Project his problems. You're just trying to be punishing and sadistic. No, that's you. We are helping through understanding. All right then, but people need beliefs to meet emotional needs. There's no harm in it. Oh, really? What if they vote based on their beliefs? Or go to war under their beliefs? Or insist their beliefs are the laws of the land? Or kill others who threaten their beliefs? Join ICE, vote MAGA. I mean, I'd go further and say, well, their own soul is important. So this idea that you have to create harm and conflict within the soul of someone for meaning, for an emotional need, is a sickness. And hey, they might not kill a lot of Muslims, but they might teach their daughter that she is less than men because of the Bible, because of beliefs. So I'd go a bit further, but we have to stay in the book. So after all of those things have been answered, what's the last resort for a believer? To throw out the catchword that indicates to the group, this is a target. This guy's anti-Semitic. He's challenging our beliefs that we are a chosen people. We get to be cruel sadists, inflicting violence and punishment on people to feel smug and superior, like every religion does, well, every belief-based group does. Anti-Semitic, or for MAGA, woke. Look at this woke. Get 'em, boys. Immigrant, get 'em, ICE. Woman, get 'em, fascist Nazi men. There's always a word to indicate you're not in the belief group and therefore you're a target for our sadism. For Christians, Antichrist. You are the Antichrist. So drops the nuke at the end. And Joseph says, is that all it takes? Simply by differing from an interpretation accepted by many, you become the Antichrist? Is that it? Disagreeing with some morons makes you the Antichrist? Hey, by the way, you don't even know what you believe. You think Christ was Jesus' last name? You think Buddha was the guy's name? Find out what the word Christ means, and you'll find out who is really the Antichrist. If Christ is a title given to a state of mind that you can only awaken through removing beliefs and developing understanding, then anyone who says I am religious is anti-Christ. Maybe? You'll have to look it up and see it for yourself. So, to look it up, see it for yourself, and conclude, that's critical thinking, and learning is what you get after the critical thinking is over. So, and of course we have to see the issue in the text, and we have to get the answers from the text. That's why we are going through the text. And you have to pass through perplexity and doubt, confusion and doubt, if you want to go through that process of development of critical thinking, insight, and understanding. So, when learning the nature of human problems and how it functions, belief. When learning how to actually solve problems and reach your goals, understanding. What does a believer say? He says,
Freaks.
He says,
Drop the attitude, man.
Drop the attitude. He says,
That's insane. Like, you need help. There's no help, actually. You need a straitjacket.
you need a straitjacket. He says, I'm not gonna do it. He says, why go through that effort? To learn how to think. To solve my problems. To reach my excellence. An excellence that is benefiting ourselves not just in this lifetime as a pilot or whatever our first personally meaningful goal is, as our chatter was struggling to define for himself. Hopefully he has a question. Yeah, we all want to be free of enslavement. No one wants to be a slave. How do I do it? Or what do I want to master along the way? If we are learning to understand the process of reaching goals while reaching our goals, that is something that's true and universal, that can benefit the self not just in this lifetime, but beyond. Therefore, the meaning of life has to be this, because it would make no sense for the meaning of life to be something that plays out within the short time span that we have in this particular incarnation. Also, learning to remove problems. That's an art we can take with us. So the purification, the perfection of the self and the purification of what's false. I don't want to do that, says Mr. Belief, because there's no need to. I already have an interpretation. So here's the thing. Because I believe that it's all relative, I already have my interpretation. So why learn anything new? I was born racist, I'll die racist. I was born a Nazi, I'll die a Nazi. I was born Mormon, I'll die a Mormon. Who cares? And also, anyone who says anything other than that, anyone who says that there is something called truth or goodness or meaning or unity, that's just their interpretation. So here we see the self-protecting mechanism of human problems. If it wasn't able to protect itself, we wouldn't be in this mess as a species. We would have listened to Socrates when he said it the first time. Beliefs reframe the truth in a way that supports, like debate. You give evidence or a fact to some debate idiot, they will say, oh yes, that proves that I was right actually. We're in agreement. I saw a debate the other day where it was one MAGA fascist propagandist versus 20 left people or rational people. They called them extreme left, which was disgusting. That to be rational isn't an extreme, it's being human. Anyway, so the rational person said, oh, and by the way, your group, the MAGA, are doing listed a whole list of bad things. And the MAGA person said, actually, you've just proven my point that the left are bad. Garbage. Just senseless, mindless garbage. Because there's no truth for belief. Belief isn't about truth. It's about clan loyalty. With an image. So, Harry as someone stuck in, by the way, we can therefore create a continuum. All human beings will be somewhere along these stages of development. Human beings. Human beings. The worst of the human beings are those down here, the most loyal to their beliefs. They have done no work addressing the cause of their beliefs, their pathologos. They engage in debate, they see entirely through interpretation. That's the human sickness. Philodoxia, love of opinions. Modern philosophers. So the most stuck into beliefs are the worst, and the best individuals are those who like critical thinking. They participate in reading. Well, as interpretation is to adding what's not there, critical thinking and reading is seeing what is there. Love of understanding. Following the self-logos. Mastering reaching the dialectic. So as we asked our friend in chat, what's your goal? He could have said, I want to be a dialectician. That would be among the, if not the highest goals that we can have here. Highest goal we can have here, to have that with excellence and mastery. So everyone's somewhere along this list. The fascists in this side, the rational on that side. If you wanted to use right and left framing, this would be the true definition of the left. It's not currently, because the politicians who are in the left wing of politics are all down here as well, because they're not doing this. They're just finding a way of playing out beliefs. Not all of them. But we would need to define what true politics, spirituality, and leadership is, this end of the spectrum, and understand human sickness down here. So there's our psychology for our friend. We want to ourselves be ruled by the highest. So speaking of someone better, Aaliyah relates differently to learning about understanding. I want to do this. It's getting simpler. I'm trying to sort out a lot of things and get clear about this. You see, I've known things when I didn't, and believed I understood something I was reading when actually I was interpreting something into it that wasn't there. I thought something that was there that wasn't, and now I am finally beginning to enjoy something I believed I had rejected. If this is critical thinking, Harry, I'm all for learning more of it. So she would be at the good end of that spectrum, loving of understanding, Philadelphia, love and logos. Now, two more things to bring us up to speed. We were then given an analogy to kick us off. So here is Aaliyah saying, I'm going through an activity to make everything more simpler by using the text, finding a puzzle in the text, and squeezing from the text the answers. Now, because Aaliyah has said that, we can wonder, is that a message to us? All of the things we have said today in bringing together into a unity what we've been reading, can you make that simpler for yourself? How do we do that? Joseph gives us our method. So there's our puzzle. Aaliyah gives us the puzzle in the text. So many things we've been talking about on this channel. How do I make it simpler? How do I bring it all together for myself to see it simply? So there's our puzzle. So you're playing a video game. How do I defeat the T-virus? Then you have to find a way of defeating the T-virus in the game. So how do we find it in the game? So right after she said that's the puzzle, Joseph gives us the key. Belief is to interpretation as understanding is to reading. So there's our method. So all of this that we have on this continuum, all that we have on this graph of judging people based on where they're at and where they're stuck, their level of development and mastery of the logos and freedom from the pathologos, the nature of our human journey to reach our goals and address our problems, the truth table of why beliefs are the cause of problems and understanding is necessary to reach what is good, as well as the ideal. And that should be the dialectic down here. The dialectic is the ideal because it makes use of following the logos. So there's our ideal steps. So those steps we were talking about with our friend, the ideal is the logos, understanding. And our ideal state of mind is nous or knowledge. The dialectic is the art that uses both together. So all of this and all the other things we have on the board, the dialectic, the principles of being in the game, understanding the problems and excellence of individuals in the collective, and the purpose for all intelligent beings. Understanding how to reason through our dreams. Oh, we had a mega dialectic, the Voltron dialectic of dialectics, the different cognitive functions that we move through, the different classes of false beliefs that oppose every step along, all of these things that we've been learning. How can we bring them all together? If understanding is to reading as belief is to interpretation, what does that mean? That's analogy. Remember, we're saying believers take their beliefs literally, keeping them stuck. Analogy. Analogy? Analogy. Whereas we want to reflect on our thoughts and problems analogously. So, belief functions through interpretation. So the cognitive function or the definition is to its activity or how it functions or demonstrates itself. So so down here we have the descriptions of the aspects in the analogy, the terms in the analogy. The cognitive function is to its activity as belief is to interpretation. So you could call this what? Sickness is to health, problems is to excellence. So as belief is to interpretation, so too understanding is to reading. Therefore, how do we solve that puzzle Aaliyah gave us to make everything more simple and clear? Critical thinking. Use this. So here's the key to unlock the gate to defeat the T-virus. Because all of those things in those tables and graphs we mentioned, you could put them here. Hey, if understanding is to reading as to belief is to interpretation, how does that relate to the logos and the pathologos? How does it relate to excellence and sickness? How does it relate to etc., etc.? In other words, you can take all of these terms and create a giant analogy or ratio. So there's the exercise being given to us in the text. So that was a big one. We have an ability to bring everything together now using this mega analogy that Joseph started us off with. Belief is to interpretation as understanding is to reading. Or a shepherd is to his sheep as a king is to his... Let's use that on the board as well to make it clear. Let's give an example of how to use analogy. Let's get rid of that. Definitions, demonstration. So, okay. So an example would be, hey, a king is to his subjects as a shepherd is to his sheep. If I gave you that to kick you off, you could then say, oh, actually, I know a shepherd has a tent he sleeps on. What would be the equivalent here? I know he has a sheepdog. What would be the equivalent for a king? I know a king has a what does a king have? A jester. Maybe. A king has a treasury. So we have one treasury. What would be the equivalent here? So this is expanding the analogy and filling in the terms. Do the same thing for understanding and belief. The cause of all human problems, belief, the cause of all human excellence, understanding, because that's our purpose. To learn the nature of both so we can make that transition with truth and humanness, the truth of understanding and the humanness of addressing our counterattacks through. So counterattacks would be down here. So counterattacks. What's the understanding equivalent to counterattacks? So we have to expect the counterattacks of interpretation. So that's how you can bring everything together and make it clear for yourself, like Aaliyah. And if Aaliyah is the best, because she is someone who is, despite being relatively new to philosophy, she's open to it, she's listening to Joseph, she loves understanding, she's following the Logos, she engages in critical thinking, learning to read what's there without interpretation. She is sharing it with others as best she can through the dialectic. Be like Aaliyah. Be like Aaliyah. That kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Be like Aaliyah. So, that's that. Now, got one more thing to have a look at before we move on to section 3. There's the analogy. Oh, there's one more puzzle. Hey, by the way, can you be a Christian and also be a good reader and understand what you're reading? Now, if it turns out, and you will only find out if you read it for yourself, that modern Christians follow the personal beliefs and interpretations of Paul, who opposes what Jesus says, then modern Christians are Pauline Jews. They're not Christians at all. What would it mean could you still be a Christian if you understood that? Would you be actually following the teachings of Jesus? If Christ is a title to do with a state of mind, could you be Christians in a higher sense? Or if Christianity is defined by loyalty to a saving belief because you still approach it as a religion, is it impossible for you to be rational and Christian? Or does it transcend religion? Is a true Christian, if Jesus has been talking about the use of analogy through parables and understanding to awaken that peak experience that he was described as having, is he actually just being Hellenic? Are thinking Christians actually Hellenic? If the kingdom of God is open to all of us as a state of mind, is it not just one belief tradition, but the ideal state of being for all human beings? Is it really Philodianoia? If you learn to read and understand, are you learning to love understanding? Is that? So there's a puzzle. Think about that. And finally, if belief functions through interpretation, so all belief, not just it's all relative, but the belief in any sort of whatever, we are led to an interesting conclusion at the end of part 2. Hang on a second, says Joseph. So Aaliyah says, I might have rejected the beliefs I grew up with in my family or culture or house or with my parents. but I didn't have good reasons for rejecting it. In other words, they still influence us. But now, if I go through these activities that we've been, exercises we've been given, the homework that Aaliyah is open to going through, I can understand these beliefs that influenced me in a new way without simply just rejecting it. I can dissolve them, which means addressing the influence they've been having over our soul, which may even extend beyond this lifetime in a negative, tragic way. So, it's not just a matter of saying, I'm not religious. You've got to understand what religion is. I'm not a Christian. Did you grow up with Christians in some way? Maybe it's worth understanding what's going on there. And this book's a fucking banger masterpiece because it gives you what to look at to have that understanding for yourself. So, Aaliyah wants to understand and purify her false beliefs rather than just ignore them. Harry says, "That's crazy. You mean you want to interpret it?" Once again, telling on himself, projecting his problem, and reframing it in a way that, in his own belief system, "You just want to interpret it, so you don't have to believe it," says Harry. Joseph responds, "Or maybe she can read it to get out of interpreting it." Reading gets you out of interpretations, you idiot.
I don't know if you know this, but like weird dudes exist everywhere.
They're completely lying to you.
Hey, whoa, don't, that's a scary voice, man. Don't do that. Hey, my kids watch this.
Sorry to your kids with my scary voice. Hang on a second, says Joseph. Isn't this whole business of interpreting just another way of saying everything is relative to interpretation? Bombshell. In other words, this whole time, we haven't just been exploring a common belief, everything is relative to personal opinions. We have been exploring the functioning of belief itself. Bombshell. If interpretation is the functioning of belief and functions in all those negative ways, projecting what's not real, blocking what's good, causing division and preventing unity, isn't that just a way of saying everything is relative to the interpreter? Boom. It's not just a common belief of, probably if not the common belief of our age, it's also literally the functioning of the cause of all human suffering and injustice, cruelty and sickness. This belief, hey, everyone's entitled to their opinion, everything is relative to opinion, everything is relative to personal perspective, is the functioning of the sickness of mind. You could say the sickness of humanity, but it's all intelligent beings. It would be true for any intelligent being who has evolved to our level of intelligent capacity, self-reflection language. It's the functioning of the sickness of mind. Bombshell. And of course, kicking off our mega analogy, belief is to its functioning as human sickness is, or the sickness of mind is to how it functions. So, you've been given a lot of homework, you've been given a fun puzzle to solve with this analogy to bring everything together. The homework is the extra, there's those texts that you can open up and look at yourself. A puzzle to solve, but to balance it out nicely, you've been given a tasty, juicy insight. It's all relative. It's all a matter of opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. isn't just a catchphrase we hear used often by the worst people. It's literally the functioning or activity of human sickness. So, going all the way back to that question asked in chat at the beginning, hey, is this psychology? If psychology is understanding the psyche or mind, in particular the nature of its problems or sickness, it's all relative is its functioning, belief is its cause. Hope that helps, chatter. So, Harry is confused by the activities that Aaliyah is going to pursue, the analogy that we are going to use to bring everything together for ourselves, and this insight into it's all relative is another way of saying interpretation. It's all relative to the interpreter. He's confused and says, I imagine you can read anything you want in or out of anything. Hang on, waiter. Are you used to this kind of talking? So I think he might be calling for help. Hey, look at these weirdos doing thinking. Shouldn't we just pile on? Can I get a belief-based sense of group unity and have and come together to target the person who is weird and different doing the thinking? Are you on my side? Can we be sadists together? Can we do our sadism of belief? Can we sacrifice these people as the sacrificial lamb? I don't care that one of them's my girlfriend. Or maybe he's just genuinely curious. Oh, have you ever seen? Isn't it weird? Maybe he's happy about what they're doing. I think one of those answers is more likely. But thankfully, our waiter says, hey, by the way, when his crowd comes in here, they do plenty of talking. Even through their banquets, they talk. And we can extend that using analogy ourselves. As banquets are to talking through them, so too, what? What are the other things that human beings enjoy together? Playing music? Should we talk while playing music? Love making? Should we talk? Should everything that we pursue as human beings that bring us joy together, should all of them be done alongside talking? Alongside the dialectic? In other words, if the way of traversing this line from our sickness to excellence and the ideal functioning for all human beings is the dialectic, whether we are enjoying food or any pleasurable activity, can they all be done along with the dialectic? So there's a puzzle or a potential idea to contemplate from Euripides at the end of chapter 2. So I am going to take a short break and then we will jump into part 3, where we will ask the question, well, what is knowledge? If all of this is the nature of a belief against understanding, where does knowledge fit into all of this? Part 3. Are we for time? Yeah, I got read a bit. Part 3, let's bring in our characters. So all of those questions that hello, welcome back, Meti. All those questions we've been carrying, let's hold on to them as we read, because of course carrying a question while you read is to be on a quest.
In the final quarter of the ball game, you have to throw it, and now we're getting into.
I have a sickness for the thickness.
Whoops.
Hubba. I just want more testosterone to human body ratio, and I'll finally be satisfied.
Calm down.
You can be a gooner.
Okay, you can be a gooner.
Goons of gooners.
Part 3. Okay, take those questions with us and let's keep reading. Harry. Oh, no, that's Joseph. Well, Joseph, it seems to me that you've learned to argue well, but I'll still tell you something. Who cares if you believe my theory is inadequate or not? It's still what I feel is true. And no one will ever be able to show me, at least to my satisfaction, that my experience is not real for me. You believe you caught my system in a contradiction. But it's not easy to get rid of your objection. Oh, sorry, it is easy. It is easy to get rid of your objection. I won't call it a theory, so it's not a philosophy. It's just what it is. And that ought to be enough for anyone, even for you. All right, so some key ideas here of something that a believer might say. It feels true to me, so it is true. And they might say, it is true because it's my experience. I learnt in the school of hard knocks. And they might say something like a platitude, it is what it is. Hey, it is what it is. So these are all thought-terminating cliches. It is what it is. Or appeals to their states of mind or their feeling states, which are an expression of the beliefs. So it's a contradiction there. Their feelings come from their beliefs. We saw that with the dialectic. Our false image of self causes our states of mind. That causes our function. That's the triad. And the one that we're after, to know the one self, have our peak states of mind, and to function through understanding. So that's the virtue triangle and the vice triangle. Or when exploring your dreams, you recognize our false belief about the self causes our negative states of mind. Anyway, we've gone through it before. Don't need to go through it again. And of course, your experience is the same. As we've just been reading and learning, beliefs cause us to interpret our experiences in a way that supports our beliefs. So to say, I experienced it, is another way of saying, I have this belief. Or I feel this way, I have this belief. And it is what it is a way of circumventing reason. Very rich text that we're reading. There's a lot that we can learn in each of these exchanges. Joseph, it's not what I think that determines all this. If anyone claims that their experience is real and their statements about their experience are infallible, they are making a claim of knowledge. If it is found to be inadequate, like yours, then they may have a point of view but that's not a philosophy. Aaliyah. So what if it's not a philosophy? Why are you dwelling on that? That's a good question, Aaliyah.
You are beautiful and everybody loves you, and you have the most beautiful breasts and the juiciest ass.
Calm down, Joseph. Just because it's a good question doesn't mean you have to go overboard like that.
I'm gonna get you. I don't know why.
They're completely lying to you.
No, they're not lying. That's a good question. Harry, don't look for a con. It's not a con. This kind of philosophy challenges us to play on a higher level of thought than we have in the past. I'll tell you what it is. It's an invitation. Not merely to explore higher questions and speculate on this or that, but to investigate the possibility that you may be able to reach more profound levels of existence. What do you think, not believe? Do you want to play a new game? There is a new game in town.
I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure.
There's a new game in town. So there we have. So we can have some more terms to add to our mega analogy. A con is to an invitation, as belief is to understanding. What do you think, not believe? So while debate perverts,
Let's be honest, perverts.
try to con people through their lying and abuse of language and dishonesty about their intentions to explore ideas, this new game in town, the dialectic, is how to actually explore higher questions, speculate on this or that, and to investigate the possibility that you may be able to reach more profound levels of existence. So this is the game. This isn't just theoretical. It's supposed to change your existence, how you perceive yourself in reality, as well as function, your states of mind, your states of being. There's a new game in town. Want to play? And of course, this is my invitation for everyone. The chatter who was asking questions about psychology and masks, I asked them some questions. Maybe they thought I was trying to trick them or con them. When I was asking, hey, can you talk about what you're interested in? Or how this question is relevant to what you have discovered about where you're at or where you're stuck. It was an invitation to a higher kind of game, more meaningful reflection in a way that may even awaken them to higher levels of existence. Harry, has anyone told you that many people don't deny that you guys may experience these profound levels of existence, but the suspicion is that it's likely the result of some drug trip or some subjective neurotic trip? I'm not saying some of you guys may not experience what you call profound levels of existence, but what I will tell you is that it doesn't amount to much. He is saying, you can't point to one dopehead whose life is better because he tripped out. And that goes double for those of you who have overactive imaginations. You know why? Because the action is here, not in some lofty, airy realm. So, a very shitty way of approaching that invitation. But thankfully we can understand what he is saying, even though he may not understand what he's doing. So while we have a map of the movement from the lesser false realm of the physical reality of perception into the greater realm of truth, so lesser, greater, and ultimate, false, truth, true, from the physical world to the realm of mind or being, higher states of mind and existence, to the ultimate states of self, from the ignorance of personal beliefs and image thinking, the beliefs as we've been defining as the cause of all human problems, and the image thinking, its activity. Hey, this image, woman, bad because MAGA, brown, bad because Nazism belief. So there's our image thinking. Our job, therefore, is to cross the green line into wisdom, which is transpersonal or universal, beyond the personal. So we can understand the stages of development we go through different ways of using our mind, image thinking, beliefs, understanding, knowing, and then ultimately the state of self, the knowing and functioning of the self. We also can recognize the classes of beliefs, because beliefs and image thinking function to block the crossing of the green line. Belief hates understanding, hates truth, hates reason, hates evidence. And we are seeing a dismissal of, in the earlier parts, we've seen Harry dismissing reasoning and logic, now, and evidence. Now we are seeing him dismissing knowing. So, if that's how beliefs function, but we're human beings who get beliefs, then beliefs aren't always a bad thing. So long as we are not taking them literally, we're reflecting on them with openness and curiosity and trying to surface and purify them. It's only when we identify with the beliefs.
Personality maxing requires you to look inward. I'm always good. Personality maxing requires you to look inward on a deeper level, and it's harder to fix because then you have to make fundamental changes to who you are as a person, and it's because it feels like a much more core component of themselves that they don't want to change. Like, it's like, well, then if I change this, who am I?
Right? It's hard to change things that you identify with because they feel like they are you. So when we identify with the beliefs, that's a false belief about the self, giving us this set of kinds of human problems that we can have. So the categories of false beliefs or pathologos because we identify self and reality with them. Here we have nihilism. There is no meaning. There's no reason to talk. There is no meaningful activity. There is no meaningful activity in the physical world. So that's no rock. That's the objection to the lowest. Objection to holes in the physical world, reductionism or materialism. That's what he is doing. He's saying, hey, I'm reducing your profound experiences of mind to just rocks, drug trips, chemicals in the brain, neurosis. What do you say? Neurotic trips. And of course, the it's all relative belief is an opposition to understanding, which is also linked to the Abrahamic religions. So Harry is also a Christian, which if understanding is the rational activity of dialectic that helps solve problems, crosses the green line into wisdom and crosses the purple line into the self, it's all relative says fuck all that. Christianity and all the Abrahamic religions says fuck all that. Actually, the mind or the way of understanding the activity of the divine is good guys versus bad guys. They are different, they're disconnected, all you can do is kill the other team. That's why we are in a shitty society currently. We allow this to exist. But that's the belief we are addressing. And of course, the fourth kind, isms. So you're okay with there being parts in the physical world. You're okay with there being wholes, ways of understanding. So materialism, there is no holes. There is no ways of solving problems or reaching excellence. You're okay with there being parts in the realm of mind. So you're not, it's all relative. You're not opposed to understanding, but the whole of understanding, you don't think is a knowable experience of reality. So the isms, or the Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is a whole, has a rationality, has things he will think and do, but it's all just made up. So in other words, these cognitive functions that we move through, you can be opposed to any one of them, giving the four fundamental classes of human problems or human false beliefs. Under the ultimate false belief, the underlying false belief about the self. So using this map, we can recognize what's going on. We are asking the question, what is knowing? Here. And Harry is saying, hey look, you guys having this experience of mind or being or intellect, the whole of mind or wisdom, that's just being reduced to rocks. This one here. Reductionism. So we've gone from exploring it's all relative. There is some reasoning, but it's just your own beliefs and interpretation, to even that's just a figment of your brain chemistry. Which highlights that we're not just in one of these. These are states of mind that we can move in and out of. And of course, there's even someone who said, by the way, you can even say that there are four fundamental versions of these: 2, 3, 4, 5 in the positive, and 6, 7, 8, 9 in the negative. You can make a cube with these 8, 4x4 cube, to represent personality types, because we have one that's the most common, so let's say 4, one that's second most common, one that's third most common, because they're states of mind. So anyway, that's the cube. We're not getting into the cube today, but that's something to wonder about, because here he's gone from this one to this one, so you can change. So, you're just a dope head. But interesting as well, because what we have been saying is, it's the dialectic that we are using as the archetype or the true spiritual process. We're not just tripping out. We are developing understanding of that state of mind to perfect them, and also to address the false beliefs that get in the way. So understanding is our method, along with meditation experiences, or drug experiences, or insight experiences, or dream experiences. Doesn't matter where you get them from. If you get to experience a higher state of being, it's a gift. The question is, what do you do with them? It's not the experiences that affect us, it's our understanding of those experiences. Just like Harry said, well, I've had experiences too, and that's where my beliefs come from. So you can't say that I'm wrong because they're from my life experiences. Bollocks. Two people can experience the same thing. A brown person can give you a sandwich. A racist will make sense of that experience in a very different way than a rational person. It's how we understand it. And as we've been seeing, it's not just... So that's of course one of the principles. Our insights or experiences are objects for reflection to develop understanding. That's the very first principle of what it means to be Hellenic, or love of understanding, philodoinoia. We also have to apply that understanding to address the expected counter-attacks from belief that come after. Truth and humanness. Logos and pathologos. Understanding and beliefs. We've got to expect both. Oh, and by the way, the next thing he says is the action is here, not in some lofty, airy realm. So once again, using our map, we can see Harry the Believer saying, "Beliefs is my highest level of being. There is nothing beyond the green line. There is no realm of mind that is eternal, that we can personify with the gods, that is the truth of reality, that is mind knowing itself, that is pure intelligence. There is no wisdom." He's anti-philosophy, anti-mind. Because beliefs is something you can get from the physical world only. So, predictable, understandable, of course. Without understanding, Harry doesn't understand his position, but we can. Joseph. You can judge experience independent of how you got there. Hooray, that's what we were saying. Hooray for us. I didn't pre-read it. We're just killing it here today. We're having a fantastic time.
I have a sickness for the thickness.
We have sickness.
Honestly, on the real, I say stuff like that because I'm cool.
And we're saying it because we're cool. You can judge experiences independent of how they got there. You can get there by car, walking, prayer, meditation, and drugs. Get there by car? What? Can you have a peek? I suppose. I mean, I guess you can zone out in the car. Or zone up in the car. Maybe he's using car and walking as a metaphor. Anyway, you can get there by car, walking, prayer, meditation, and drugs. What's important is what you learn from what you do. Whatever you do. Aaliyah. Whatever you do? Well, some people get off doing one thing or some other. You go for knowledge, so you're drawn to these issues. But for me, I believe we've gone too far with knowledge. For me, I feel we should use our minds and spend our energy on saving our planet and protecting the environment. Oh, this is a tricky one. We've already identified Aaliyah as one of the people on the end of the spectrum of the good people. Good kinds of people. But without that experience that we've been talking about, she might not think it's real. So we have been talking about, we have mentioned that unless someone has gone through philosophical midwifery and dream analysis, which is the activity of surfacing our pathologos false beliefs, we're going to have one of them. We've talked about the most dangerous and violent being this one, the Abrahamics, the it's all relative, the functioning of belief. We talked about reductionism, reducing everything to chemistry or drugs or whatever. Nihilism, there's nothing. They are the saddest and most depressed and lonely of people. But if we were to say, well, what kind of problem would you have because you have to have one of these four, most common, it would be an ism. You're not dismissing everything. You're not saying everything is just physical chemical squirting. You're not saying that it's all an us versus them game of belief-based ignorance. You're open to reasoning and understanding, but you just don't think that there is a deeper experience of reality. You think the best we can get is to save our planet and protect the environment by creating an ism, socialism, Marxism, maybe defeating Nazism and conservatism. In other words, we create our own theory, like Mickey Mouse. The model of how to harmonize ourselves and species isn't a true knowable experience. So, of all the kinds of problems to have, this would be the best one. So Aaliyah personifying the best kind of problem, but it's still a problem. So therefore, for a lot of people, that peak experience that can come by in car or walking or all of those things we mentioned might be super significant or even necessary to wake people up to a more meaningful activity. So, interesting. Let's see what happens in the book. I think we should use our minds and spend our energy on saving our planet and protecting the environment. You know, if we achieve peace, that will end the arms race. And if we end the arms race, that will put an end to most scientific projects. Scientific knowledge, weapons of war, and the destruction of the environment go together. Personally, I find knowledge boring. I took math and science classes and got good grades, but when I look back on it all I can say is that science discovers some interesting patterns. But all it really does is find the nuts and bolts that tie stuff together. So what? You know what I mean? There's not enough in it for me. Now, if you think I'm off base, please tell me how. So, this is the principle of, if you don't understand the culture you're in, you will still be influenced by it. So here's a wonderful person whose culture is this. Our education system is all beliefs and ignorance. There are very few people doing what we are doing here, true philosophy to reach wisdom, solve problems, and go on to cross the purple line to know the self. Therefore, if we take these people as what it means to be, what knowledge is, she's quite right in being disillusioned. Because all these people do is materialism. Modern education is below the green line. It's all materialism. Parts, physical stuff. Rejecting the mind and truth, rejecting the self and the true, strips meaning from education. We are learning true reading and true education. Modern academia does the opposite. What's the point of learning the materialism of modern science? Because what are the scientists doing that we pump out of our universities? Making fucking nuclear weapons. Making weapons to genocide children and whole cultures. Making AI to oppress the working class for the fun and profit of the fucking Epstein billionaire class. It's horseshit. Modern academia, including modern philosophy, is horseshit. They're not understanding problems and they're not solving problems. They're making nuclear weapons and mousetraps and hand grenades. That's all. So she's quite right to be disillusioned with an education that stops at the green line, prevents meaning, and allows for the saving of beliefs within politics, religion, and capitalism, the cause of human fucking savagery. So, she's absolutely right, given her culture, given a lack of understanding of what we're doing here. and also a wonderful person to say, if I'm off the mark, please help me out. Or to say it another way,
There's only two options at the end of an argument. One, you're wrong, but now you always get to be right about that topic going forward. So you get to learn something, which is always a plus. Or two, you're right and you get to revel in being right.
it's a win-win.
It's a win-win-win-win-win.
Right, so that principle. If I'm off base, let me know. So once again, the best. Demonstrating that you don't just ignore or reject beliefs, you have to understand to purify their effect on your psyche and soul, psychology. For some people, an insight or a drug experience or a meditation experience or a car or walking experience or meditation or prayer experience might wake you up to a higher kind of reality that isn't taught in our culture of ignorance. Philodianoia, below the green line, love of opinions. But also, if you think I'm off base, please tell me how. Fantastic way of finishing her reflection. Joseph. Those aren't the issues I deal with. I am very puzzled about many issues concerning the origin of belief. Sounds like what I was talking to with the chatter. The chatter wanted to engage with in conversation about fame and celebrity and wealth. Those are all physical pleasures. Love of wealth, love of money. Philokrimatos, love of material wealth. Love of fame, philotimos. What we are interested in is philosophia, love of wisdom. Philodianoia, love of understanding. And philophronesis, love of our highest state of being. Which is why I was saying I'm not really interested in that, but if you talk about what's meaningful, about what you're blocked from, your pathologos idea of self, or what you think is your excellence of self, how are you going and where you're at in this line, or where you're stuck in this line? But of course, the difficulty in communicating this is it's an invitation to a different way of being that might be interpreted as, what? That's weird, you're weird, go to hell, or you're trying to con me. But it's not a con, it's an invitation to a higher level of reflection. There's a new game in town.
I'm joy maxing, okay? And if I aura mog you because I'm joy maxing so hard, that just sounds like your cortisol levels are spiking for no reason.
We're joy maxing.
I love this guy.
Thank you. So we're interested in issues concerning the origin of belief, rather than how the materialists spend their time dealing with what they think is knowledge below the green line. So I'm concerned with the origins of belief, issues concerning the origins of belief. Like what? Says Aaliyah. While I like your questions, I am more concerned with why do we get locked into beliefs if wisdom is so great? That's the question. That's the essence of our reflection the last few episodes. If mind is defined as truth, reality, goodness, benefit, oneness, unity, if it's so great, experienced as the brilliant light of being, as bliss, as beauty itself, And if the self is higher even than that, beyond even experience, the true, the good, and the one, why the fuck are we so stupid and savage and cruel? Why are we so loyal to our beliefs in opposition to what is so amazingly brilliant, true, universal, transpersonal, and beneficial? Why are people opposing philosophers and dialectic to be loyal to beliefs when the rewards are so amazing, collectively, individually, and in our relationships? That's the big question. That's the human question. That's the question. If we all want to know the self, if we all want to have our peak experiences and integrate both in the highest possible ways of goodness, benefit, truth, and oneness, why are we killing ourselves for the billionaire Epstein class? Why are we opposing this for loyalty to fucking religion? Why are we saving religion? Because some people need it for meaning or emotional needs. Why are we allowing right wing to exist when they actively lie and hurt people and kill people? Why don't we just love understanding? If it's a win-win-win.
It's a win-win.
Win-win-win-win-win.
Win-win. It's a win-win-win-win-win-win.
Win-win-win-win-win.
If you don't know, now you know.
I'm cute. Like, the more holes, the better.
Exactly, Emma. So, well said. So all of the stuff that we've been, all of these questions that have been coming up in our exploration of this, whether we're looking at our species collectively, how we relate to each other and the planet, how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to our relationships, any level, macrocosm and microcosm, it comes down to this question. Why do we get locked up into beliefs if wisdom is so great? Brilliant. Fantastic. I'll scoop the moon for you.
In the final quarter of the ball game, you have to throw it, and that's when it all matters. It's all up to that one moment.
Exactly. In the final quarter of the ball game, you have to throw it in, and it's this moment that matters. Couldn't have said it better myself.
I'm cute. Like,
I think it's so awesome.
And it is so awesome. Why do we get locked into beliefs if wisdom is so great? Why is it that we can have beliefs that are so powerful, they block our development? And if we don't even know, and yet we don't even know we have them. They're so powerful in doing all this injustice, and we don't even know they're there. Where does it get this kind of power? If we could answer these questions, could our schools help expose these beliefs and eliminate their effect? Boom. Boom, boom, baby, boom. So this is just the opening of part 3, and already we've got these fucking amazing questions in our back pockets now. Why do we get locked up in beliefs if wisdom is so great? Number one. Why is it that we have beliefs that are so powerful that they block our development? Why is it that we don't even know we have them? Where do these beliefs that seem to be more powerful than the peak experiences, more powerful than wisdom, where does beliefs get its power? And finally, as a conclusion, so you can make a dialectic out of this paragraph, and I really recommend you do, this will be your something to do for before the next episode, turn this into a dialectic, because to make this an object of understanding. At the end of all that, if we can answer those questions, could our schools transform from building weapons of war for the destruction of our environment and the torture and murder of people for the fun and profit of the billionaire Epstein class, Could our education go from that, nuclear weapons and hand grenades, to addressing the cause of all human problems and facilitating our development into wisdom? Wouldn't that be what our species, wouldn't that be what our species is fucking supposed to be doing? Would this be the model of true education? Would it? What would it look like to do this? Can we learn it ourselves? Can we benefit from it ourselves? Could this be the model for all rational beings? The true nature of being human, but not just human, the true purpose and excellence of all intelligent beings, exposing our beliefs and eliminating the effects, giving us what we need to free ourselves from those problems and blocks to continue our development into wisdom and beyond to the self. What do you think? Would that be a school you'd like to go to? Would that be a world you'd like to live in? Free of nuclear weapons and hand grenades? As our friend said, free from having to sacrifice your life for survival? To enslave yourself under the rule of some sick, disgusting billionaire, whether you be making weapons of war or actively killing people for the fun and profit of the billionaire Epstein capitalist conservative religious class? Wouldn't that be great? What would it be like? Worth doing? And as Joseph points out, society secondarily, yourself primarily. It has to be a personally meaningful goal for the development of yourself. Big one? What are the questions? 1. Why do we get locked up into beliefs that wisdom is so great? 2. Why is it that they're so powerful that they block our development? 3. Why do we not even know that we have them? 4. Where does it get its power from? And 5. If we are able to answer those questions, could our schools help expose those beliefs and eliminate the effects, rather than having to suffer the tragic implications of them in every area of our lives? What do you think? Can you nail that down as a dialectic? Are you curious? Hope you're curious. I hope your dreams are interesting tonight. Remember, once again, everything we've been learning about how to read and think and understand, apply them to your dreams. Have you come across something today that you can apply to your dream analysis tonight or tomorrow? You can follow along on the Twitch. You can find a PDF to the text below. You can buy me a coffee if you like. There's a link below. I don't get any money from this. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.